consistent. I just want consistency from folks.
Well, speaking of consistency, it's really hard to come by on Twitter, or I guess X as it's called now. And it's something that I think you've, kind of documented for a long time. You had an infamous exchange with Matt Taibbi over the Modi censorship. That's been another example of somebody that's really broken my heart with their pivoting. But
yes, I was a big fan. I was a big fan.
I literally have every single one of his books.
Matt's a classic example of what I mentioned earlier. Don't meet your heroes. Not just turns out his politics are bad now, not just his journalism's bad now. What a horrible person, just behaves horribly to people. Like literally, like we were in the middle of the day I interviewed him. He literally hit send. This never happened to me. I've interviewed hundreds of people from around the world over 2 decades. Never happened to me. While we're in the middle of a pre-taped interview, it wasn't live. In a taped interview, he hit send on a pre-written piece attacking me.
What?
Published. How is that a good faith actor? Like, I'm not asking him to like me. He can hate me all he wants. I'm not a fan of his anymore. I used to be a big fan of his. But like that kind of behavior makes me cringe and go, forget the politics. What kind of person are you?
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's what's seductive about the right? Because I always want to be super careful giving compliments to people who are like white supremacists or people who are, that they hate trans people. Right. Do what?
Let's not compliment white supremacists.
Exactly. Right. 100%. And so, but I also do understand the point that you were making earlier that the right wing knows how to schmooze a little better than the left wing. The left wing often comes off as prickly. One of the things that Gavin and I have learned in our brief experience with media is that, like, a lot of lefties like to keep to themselves. A lot of lefties, they're kind of more introverted guys. Like, they don't really want to go out and crush beers together and have a great time. And that's totally okay. Whatever attracts people to the media calling, if they're advocating for the right thing, I think that's great. And it certainly doesn't compensate for being a hateful bigot if you're willing to go out with me on a Friday night. You know what I mean? But I do think there's something there.
Sociologically, I always wonder, like, what's driving it all? Part of me wonders, is it because right-wingers were in a minority in like school or college and they learned to be the people who had to schmooze, or they learned to get thicker skins? I don't know. I feel like a lot of lefties and liberals have very thin skins. Not that lots of right-wingers don't as well. Donald Trump's the most thin-skinned man in the world. But I'm talking more about like the activist, intellectual, opinion former set.
100%.
Yeah, that's an interesting discussion. Well, I mean, when it comes to Taibbi, if you don't mind drilling a little bit deeper there, I mean, what do you think is sort of behind his pivot? Do you think it's just sort of an aging thing? A lot of Gen X people
thing. I think a lot
trans thing.
I think a lot of white men got very disturbed by Me Too and George Floyd, and a lot of this is a whole wokeism. They jump on the anti-wokeism bandwagon.
Right.
Clearly, he's done very well from his relationship with Musk and the Twitter files. I mean, his Substack blew up.
But that just kind of flies in the face of everything that he stood for, right? This is the guy that wrote Griftopia. This is the guy that wrote,
This is the guy. You want to talk about consistency? He gets mad at people for exaggerating the threat from Trump. Lefties at Trump. He compared Trump to Hitler. By the way, if we're going to go down the road, go back to 2016. Matt compared Trump to a dictator, to a fascist, and then suddenly it's like, oh no, it's all the left. It's bloke. He actually did a post once saying, "I'm obsessed with." I don't have the exact words. I'm paraphrasing. But he did a tweet where he said, "The reason I go after the left, not the right, is because the left are in control of all of our institutions and have all power over." And I was like, "What country are you living in?" Like majority of state houses, governorships now currently, or not the time, but currently Senate, House, presidency, Supreme Court. And big tech is not liberal. Sorry to break it to you. So it's just astonishing that anyone can say that. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I can't get into it. But clearly there's been a change. What annoys me is when they pretend they haven't changed. At least be honest. At least own it. The other thing is, I wouldn't mind if your position was, I hate the left and I hate the right, right? If Noam Chomsky, who says, plague on all your houses, right? I respect that. There's a consistency to it. There's a moral consistency and political consistency. What bothers me is when you go from one part of the spectrum to another, and then you only bash one side, right? You don't bash the right. All I ever hear from this group of people, you know who they are, is all about Democrats, liberals, media. Nothing about the role of Fox, nothing about the conservative Supreme Court, nothing about all these right-wing grifters. So that really annoys me. And Matt now turns up at all sorts of right-wing gatherings, and that's another thing. Like he went to meet Ted Cruz. Did you see that one?
Matt Taibbi.
Yeah, when he did the congressional hearings, had a meeting with Cruz, and he praised Jim Jordan. It's like, you don't need to do that if you were actually I wouldn't have a problem with the Matt Taibbi who said, I think liberals censored too much. I think the FBI and Twitter had too close a relationship. I think, the White House should have minded its own business on that would be fine. I wouldn't agree with that. It would be a legit. What bothers me is the extra step where you're now just sucking up to the Republican Party. Yep. And he'll deny that, but I've seen how he speaks to Democrats. I've seen how he speaks to Republicans. It's very different.
And not even just the inconsistency and hypocrisy on that specific issue, but as it relates to Democrats and Republicans, but also on that specific issue of Twitter and of censorship on X, not just with the Modi thing that you kind of called him out on live in real time. But I mean, unless I've missed it, I don't think there's been any reporting from Matt Taibbi reckoning with the current state of the platform.
He's done a few posts. I saw one the other day, a tweet about Musk, but no, nothing substantive in the way that he went after Jack Dorsey and the old Twitter regime. No,
and I feel like the old Twitter is like, I mean, for all of its faults, look at the way it is now. It's not even the same website. It's just a propaganda machine for Donald Trump and for MAGA and for whatever.
You're pretending that we're in some free speech utopia right now, Elon Musk. You're just lying to yourselves or to other people or both.
And it's like, I agree, he could have released that original Twitter files reporting and then, now be working on more, still on the same beat, frankly. It could have been a story that he continued
but he made it very clear in his interview with me that he wanted to keep access with Elon and that he liked Elon Musk.
And now it's just over. Now he doesn't talk about
flag. That's a red flag. If you're a fan of Elon Musk, that's a red flag. Also, he spends his time on Fox now, doing Fox shows, smiling and nodding.
Greg Gutfeld wrote him a song.
He wrote a book excoriating Fox, right?
No.
Now he sits on Fox. His argument will be, well, they're the only ones that have me on. But that shouldn't be your principle. Like, I left my job at MSNBC, right? I could have said, well, MSNBC wouldn't have me do my shows. I'm going to go to Fox. But I didn't because I have some self-respect.
Last one from me, Mehdi. Do you think he buys Liverpool just to make the people of England angry?
Stop. Don't even say the words. Shh. Not even a joke. I'm a Liverpool fan.
His father has reportedly said.
I know his father's nuts. His father is insane. His father also said that Tommy Robinson is the Nelson Mandela of the UK. By the way, his father's also the one who confirms that Elon is a liar about the Emerald Mine. The whole Emerald Mine thing where Elon's like, we never had an Emerald Mine. It's a false. It's a trope. It's a meme. And the star's like, yeah, we did. I took him. But no, don't even joke about that because look, Twitter. He bought Twitter on a joke and then ended up very real. No, Donald Trump ran for president because Barack Obama made jokes. No jokes. We live in a world where jokes become real. I'm a lifelong Liverpool fan, and then I would be forced to be morally consistent and abandon my support for Liverpool because Elon Musk bought it. I can't do that. I mean, right now you got Saudis and Emiratis and Qataris buying up football clubs. I'll take the Gulf dictators as football owners over Elon Musk.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir.